Rule 24 of the Rules of the Road tells us which navigation lights towing vessels must display, as well as those the towed vessel or object must display. But before you get into this rule, make sure you familiarize yourselves with rule number 23. I will give you the link to the video where I have explained the rule number 23 as well. Please watch it before you watch this rule, because this rule refers or keeps referring to rule number 23 and the separate parts of rule number 23. So it is better that you familiarize yourselves first with that rule before you start with this rule. Now, if you look at part A of rule number 24, special mention needs to be made of subparagraph 1 of part A, because here the length of the vessel and tow determines the arrangement of masthead lights. Vessels less than 50 meters in length, those that have to display only one masthead light when underway without a tow, are required to display two masthead lights in a vertical line, or if the tow length is over 200 meters, three masthead lights in a vertical line. Vessels over 50 meters when underway without a tow must display both a forward and mounted higher and after masthead light. The masthead lights forward and aft and thus act as a range, giving others an idea of the vessel's orientation or relative course. When underway with a tow, these larger vessels are required to replace either, but not both, either the forward or the after masthead light with a vertical array of either two or three masthead lights, depending on the length of the tow. A vessel over 50 meters long with a tow less than 200 meters long must display two masthead lights on its forward mast and one on its aft mast. Alternatively, it could display two lights on its aft mast and one on its forward mast. Such a vessel would also, of course, display the requisite side lights, stern light, and yellow towing light. Paragraph B of rule number 24 is less of a requirement than a statement that certain specialized tug-barge combinations do not fall under rule 24, but rather under the rules governing lighting of ordinary power-driven vessels. This provision applies only to pushing ahead. Described as being rigidly connected in a composite unit, these vessels are usually designed so that the pushing vessel's bow fits into a matching notch in the stern of the barge. A locking device holds them so rigidly together that little or no independent motion is permitted. These rigid tug-barge combinations do not need to be certified or classified in order to display the navigation lights of a power-driven vessel. Paragraph C of Rule 24 specifies the lights for vessels pushing ahead or towing alongside. Significant differences exist between the international rules and if you read similar rules of the inline version. Both require side lights. Both require two masthead lights carried in a vertical line. In lieu of the stern light required by the international version, two yellow towing lights are required by the inland rules if you read them. Part D. The wording in paragraph A and C did not make clear the requirement for larger towing vessels to display both forward and aft masthead lights, so paragraph D was added. Yet its inclusion seems only to have made the requirement more confusing. Paragraph D is aimed at vessels over 50 meters in length and says if you elect to display your two or three masthead lights in a vertical line for towing on the forward mast, then you must also display another masthead light on the aft mast. If the two or three masthead lights towing array is mounted on the aft mast, a single masthead light must be displayed on the forward mast. Whether to display the vertical array masthead lights on the forward mast or on the aft mast is the decision of the builder of the ship or the owner. Because towing vessels under 50 meters need carry masthead lights on only one mast, they can ignore this paragraph, although they may voluntarily carry both forward and aft masthead lights. Paragraph E begins the lighting requirements for vessels being towed. stipulating that vessels being towed astern have side lights and stern light. The intensity of the lights is based on the length of the towed vessel, excluding tow line and towing vessel. A diamond shape is displayed by day when the length of the tow, including towed vessel and towing line, exceeds 200 meters. Paragraph F specifies the navigation lights for vessels being pushed ahead or towing alongside. If several barges are tied together and towed as a unit, then they must be lighted as though a single vessel. The light must be intense enough to meet the requirement for the length of the group, not the length of a single barge within the group. You may also refer to Rule 22 here. Vessels being towed alongside have the same requirement of side lights and a stern light. Vessels being pushed ahead carry side lights. Sometimes you may also read that they demand a special flashing light at the front of the tow. Rule number 24 Part G provides for lighting inconspicuous partly submerged vessels or objects that by their very nature cannot be provided with conventional side and stern lights. This vessel class includes dracons, which are large flexible bags used for transporting liquids. The vessels classified under this part require all-round white lights at each end of the towed vessel, although the international version of this rule exempts dracons from the forward light stipulation. The 2 additional white lights to mark the beam on wide 25 meters or more tows are also required. For long tows, subparagraph G3 provides for extra lights so that there will be not an unlighted span of more than 100 meters. These intermediate lights on long tows should be mounted singly if the tow is less than 25 meters wide or in pairs for wider tows. The international version of this rule are applied to combinations of inconspicuous, partly submerged vessels or objects as if they were one. The rule also demands a diamond shape at the aftermost extremity of the tow. For tows exceeding 200 meters in length, including the tow line, the international rules require an additional diamond shape displayed on the towed vessel or object where it can best be seen and located as far forward as is practicable. Finally, we come to part H of the rule number 24. In some situations, a vessel being towed astern cannot be fitted with proper navigation lights. For example, a vessel disabled by storm or accident may be without power, and the urgency of rescue efforts may prevent the fitting of emergency lighting. In such a case, paragraph H excuses compliance with conventional lighting requirements, but says every effort must be made to indicate to other vessels in the area that a vessel or an object is being towed. Such lights, the towed vessel's deck lighting, illumination flares, radar, telephone, or radio telephone, or whatever else is available, should be used. The last part of rule number 24 is part I. The final provision in rule number 24 concerns so-called Good Samaritan towing. They permit a vessel to tow another without displaying the navigation lights of a towing vessel. The towing vessel must not have expected to become involved in towing, having only fortuitously encountered another vessel in distress or otherwise in need of assistance. Good Samaritans must indicate to others by whatever means available that they are engaged in towing. Obviously, commercial towing operations do not qualify under this provision, nor do vessels whose normal activities include the towing or expectation of towing of disabled vessels, regardless of whether a fee is collected by salvage or not. Thanks.